All right, so welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
You guys wanted the inside scoop on the latest Kīlauea eruption, and we got it.
Straight from the source.
We've been poring over some seriously cool stuff from NASA's Earth Observatory and the USGS team. Those folks on the ground, they're amazing.
Yeah, they're out there getting the data. It's crucial.
Absolutely. But get this isn't just about those crazy pictures of lava shooting into the sky.
Oh, there's a lot more to it than that.
Definitely more than meets the eye.
It's easy to get, caught up in the visuals. Those images are stunning. But this eruption, it's just one piece of a much bigger story. It's like
It's like getting a glimpse into Kīlauea's personality.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's back up a bit. We're talking about the eruption that started December 23rd, 2024.
Right.
But you mentioned personality. What makes this particular eruption stand out from the others? I mean, it's not like Kīlauea is a stranger to eruptions, right?
Well, right off the bat, this is the 6th eruption at Kilauea's summit caldera since 2020.
6th.
Wow. That might seem like a lot.
It does.
And it is. But it's actually pretty typical for Kīlauea. This volcano, she has a history of, eruptive periods, followed by some quieter phases.
So it's like an on-again, off-again kind of thing.
In a way, yeah. And the length of each eruption, that can be totally different each time. Some might fizzle out in a week. Others go on for months or even years.
So we really don't know how long this one's going to stick around.
Nope. Jury's still out on that one.
Fascinating. I bet there are folks out there thinking, wait, back up. What even is a caldera?
Oh, good point. Picture a giant bowl, right? Like a massive depression at the top of the volcano. Sometimes it's miles across. That's your caldera.
So how does something that big even form?
Well, it's pretty dramatic. When you have a huge eruption, it can empty out the magma chamber underground. And when that happens, the surface above it kind of collapses inward.
So all that power beneath the surface, it's mind-blowing. And speaking of power, those lava fountains, 80 meters high, that's over 262 feet.
It's incredible.
Talk about a dramatic show. The NASA article even has this crazy Landsat 8 satellite image that shows, the heat radiating from the lava. It's not even just a photo. It's like...
That's like a superpower, right?
Right.
It really is remarkable what we can see these days with technology. That Landsat 8 you mentioned, it's not just capturing what our eyes see. It's picking up different wavelengths of light, including infrared.
And the infrared is?
Heat, the heat we feel. So they take these wavelengths and assign colors to them.
Oh, so that's how you get those bright reds and yellows.
Exactly. It's called false color imaging, but it helps highlight the hottest areas. It's like seeing the Earth in a whole new light.
Literally. I was picturing scientists hand-painting those images, but it's way more high-tech than that.
Yeah.
But what can they actually learn from these false color pictures?
Oh, tons.
Yeah.
It's not just pretty pictures, for sure. They can analyze how the lava is flowing and spreading, get clues about what the lava is made of.
So composition of the lava.
Right. And that tells us about what's going on way down below the surface.
Oh.
And, of course, it helps pinpoint potential hazards.
Like where the lava is the hottest.
Yeah, and most fluid. Crucial info for keeping everyone safe.
So it's like having X-ray vision for the volcano.
In a way, yeah. But, as captivating as those images are, we can't forget the real-world impacts. This isn't just a late show.
Right. Volcanic eruptions, they have consequences.
Definitely. And with this one, a major concern is those volcanic gases, especially sulfur dioxide.
Sulfur dioxide, huh?
Yeah.
Now that's where things get maybe a little concerning.
Potentially, yeah.
Sulfur dioxide, it doesn't sound too scary on its own, but I have a feeling there's more to this story.
Oh, there is. When sulfur dioxide mixes with, sunlight, moisture, other gases in the atmosphere, you get what we call VOG.
VOG.
Volcanic smog.
Ooh, yikes.
And unlike lava flows that kind of stay put, VOG can travel far, impacting air quality over huge areas.
So it's more than just, a hazy view of the volcano, though.
Oh, yeah. VOG can cause respiratory problems, eye irritation, even damage crops.
Wow. So it's a serious health hazard.
Definitely. For communities downwind of the volcano, it can linger for days, even weeks.
Man, that puts a whole new spin on things.
It does.
So you've got this incredible eruption happening, but there's also this invisible threat spreading through the air.
That's the duality of nature, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful and powerful. And sometimes, those two sides collide.
They definitely do. And to add another layer to this already crazy situation, didn't we also have eruptions east of the caldera back in September of 2024?
We did?
Is there any connection between those eruptions and what's happening now?
That's a great question. And yes, there is a connection. Those September eruptions, they were in a different spot, sure. But both they and the current activity, they're fed by the same magma source.
Oh, wow. Deep down, it's all connected.
It is. It's like a giant underground network.
With magma flowing and erupting in different spots, it makes you realize how complex this volcano really is.
And interconnected. It's not just about one eruption site, it's about the whole system.
Okay, so back to the current eruption. What's the latest? Are those lava fountains still going strong?
Well, as of December 30th, things have calmed down a bit. The lava flow is not as intense as it was.
Oh, so maybe it's winding down?
Maybe. But volcanoes, they're unpredictable. This lull could be temporary.
Oh, so it's a bit of a cliffhanger. We're all on the edge of our seats wondering what Kīlauea is going to do next.
Exactly. The eruption could pick up again any minute, or it could just fade away. We just don't know. But the USGS scientists are on it, of course. They've got seismometers, GPS stations, gas sensors, all keeping a close eye on Kīlauea.
They're like volcano detectives using all the latest tech to solve the mystery. And those USGS photos, they really show how dedicated those scientists are. They're right there in the thick of it, gathering data, trying to piece together what makes Kīlauea tick.
Their work is amazing. By studying these eruptions, they can figure out how Kīlauea behaves, help predict hazards, and ultimately keep people safe.
It's a good reminder that behind those crazy, mind-blowing images, there's a whole world of science going on. This eruption isn't just a visual spectacle. It's a chance to learn more about how our planet works.
Absolutely. And it raises so many questions. What triggers these eruptions? How do they affect the environment, the communities living nearby? What clues can they give us about future activity?
It's like putting together a giant puzzle, one eruption at a time.
Exactly. But before we get too deep into those questions,
we should take a moment to appreciate just how powerful and mysterious this volcano really is.
I agree.
This is a deep dive, after all, and we're just getting started. We'll be back in a flash to explore more of Kīlauea's secrets, so don't go anywhere.
So, welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about all those big questions, the ones that this eruption is raising for scientists.
Oh, yeah. Like, how do they even begin to understand what's going on underneath the surface?
Right. It's a huge mystery, really.
It is. Earlier, we were talking about this whole network of underground pathways where the magma flows.
Yeah, the magma plumbing system, as we call it.
It's kind of mind-boggling to think about like a hidden labyrinth underneath the earth. How do they even begin to map something like that?
Well, it takes a lot of detective work and a whole bunch of different techniques. Seismologists, for example, they study earthquake patterns.
Because earthquakes happen when magma is moving, right?
Often, yeah. And then you've got GPS stations. They pick up those tiny, almost imperceptible ground movements.
That also signal magma's on the move.
Exactly. And then there's the lava itself. We can analyze its composition and actually trace its origins.
Like a fingerprint for the lava.
Exactly. So piece by piece, they're able to map out the system and figure out how the magma is moving.
It's fascinating, but it's not just about the magma, is it? What about the impact on the surrounding environment? I mean, you've got plants, animals, whole ecosystems that exist around the volcano.
Right. And volcanic eruptions, they can be incredibly destructive, that's for sure.
Lava flows wiping out everything in their path.
Yeah, reshaping the landscape in a really dramatic way.
Forcing animals to relocate. It's a lot of upheaval.
It is. But at the same time, they're also incredibly creative forces.
Creative? How so?
Well, eventually, those lava flows, they cool and solidify, and they provide new surfaces for life to take hold. And that volcanic ash.
Yeah, it's pretty harmful at first. I remember hearing about how it can disrupt air travel, cause respiratory problems.
Definitely. But over time, that ash breaks down. It enriches the soil. It actually makes it incredibly fertile.
So it's this cycle of destruction and renewal?
Exactly. And life finds a way to adapt and thrive, even in those environments that seem so harsh at first.
Speaking of adaptation, I'm curious about the people living near Kīlauea. How are they handling this latest eruption? It's like living with a fire-breathing giant in their backyard.
It's true. They're really living on the edge, so to speak. But the people of Hawaii, they have this incredible relationship with Kīlauea. It's been a part of their lives for generations.
I bet they have a lot of stories to tell.
Well, I'm sure they do. But they've learned to live with its activity, to respect its power. They've adapted to the challenges, whether it's fog, evacuating from lava flows, or just adjusting their everyday lives to the rhythm of the volcano.
It's inspiring, really, their resilience.
It is. It shows that we can coexist with these forces of nature, even when these seem so unpredictable and dangerous.
So back to the science for a minute. How do scientists actually keep track of all this? I mean, it's not like they just set up a webcam and call it a day.
No, not at all. It's way more sophisticated than that. It's like having this high-tech security system set up around the volcano. You've got seismometers, of course. We mentioned those earlier. They're listening for those tiny earthquakes.
Right, the ones that can be a sign that an eruption is about to happen.
Exactly. And GPS stations, they're tracking even the slightest ground deformation. That can tell you if magma is pushing up from below. And then you've got gas sensors. They're measuring all those volcanic gases like the sulfur dioxide we were talking about.
So it's all this data, all these different pieces of information coming together to help paint a picture of what's happening.
Exactly. It's like putting together a giant puzzle. And all that data, it feeds into those hazard assessments and eruption forecasts.
So scientists can get a better idea of what Kilauea might do next.
Right, and provide those timely warnings to communities. It's all about keeping people safe.
It's amazing how technology is changing our understanding of these forces. But I'm curious, beyond those immediate safety concerns, what are the long-term implications? How do these eruptions actually change the volcano itself?
Every eruption leaves its mark, that's for sure. Over time, as those lava flows build up, they reshape the volcano. New slopes form. The contours of that summit caldera change. The current eruption, for example, it's adding new lava to the crater floor, gradually changing its topography.
So we're actually seeing a process that's been happening for millions of years.
Exactly. This constant interplay of creation and destruction that shapes the landscape.
It's humbling to realize we're only seeing a tiny snapshot in time.
Right. Just a fleeting moment in Kilauea's long and dynamic history. But, we've been talking a lot about the science, the technology. What about the human element? I mean, for the people living in Hawaii, this is more than just geology, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's part of their history, their culture, their spirituality.
For the native Hawaiian people, Kilauea is a sacred place, home to the fire goddess Pele.
I've heard of Pele.
And her eruptions, they're seen as expressions of her power, her presence. It's woven into their beliefs, their mythology, their way of life.
It's a reminder that our relationship with nature, it goes far beyond data and scientific analysis.
It does. It's about respect, reverence, a deep spiritual connection.
Absolutely. But beyond the cultural significance, are there any practical implications? Does living near an active volcano actually benefit people in any way?
Oh, for sure. I mean, volcanic activity, it's shaped the land, the soil, even the weather in Hawaii. The volcanic soil is incredibly rich, ideal for agriculture. And then you've got geothermal energy. Kilauea provides a significant source of renewable power for the island. So yeah, there are definitely benefits.
Just a complicated relationship. It's not all bad.
Not at all. It's a mix of risks and rewards, challenges and opportunities. And that's what makes Kilauea so fascinating to study. It reminds us of the power and beauty of nature and all the complexity that comes with living on a dynamic planet.
It does. Well said. And for our listeners who want to learn more, don't forget to check out the show notes. We've got links to those incredible NASA images, the latest updates from the USGS.
Definitely worth a look.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a little something to think about. Imagine you could ask the scientists studying Kilauea just one question. What would it be? Take a moment. Let that simmer, and we'll be right back to explore some possible answers and wrap up our exploration of this amazing volcano. Okay, so are you ready to unpack some of those burning questions about Kilauea?
Let's do it. What do you got?
I'm sure our listeners are bursting with curiosity after that last segment.
Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about how technology is changing the game when it comes to studying volcanoes.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
It's not just about, brave scientists trekking up to the crater anymore. We've got satellites, sensors, all this data. It's like a whole new era of volcano research.
It really is. It's a data revolution.
Yeah.
And all that information, it's allowing us to build these incredibly sophisticated models, make better predictions, and ultimately keep communities safer.
It's almost like we're getting to know Kilauea on a whole new level, understanding its moods and patterns in a way that wasn't possible before.
I like that. It's about moving beyond simply reacting to what the volcano does. It's about trying to, anticipate it. Work with it, not against it.
Respect its power.
Exactly. Respect its power.
And speaking of patterns, we know Kilauea has these cycles of activity and quiet. Do scientists have any insights into, what the future might hold? Can they actually predict when the next eruption might happen?
That's the million-dollar question, Frey. Unfortunately, there's no crystal ball. We can't say for sure when or where the next eruption will be.
But I bet they're working on it.
Oh, absolutely. They're constantly looking at the long-term patterns, studying those past eruptions, monitoring every little change in the volcano's behavior. They're trying to, well, anticipate what might happen next. It's a bit like, forecasting the weather.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a volcanic weather forecast.
In a way, yeah. But instead of looking at days or weeks, they're thinking in terms of years, decades, even centuries.
Wow, that's a whole different scale. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. All these powerful forces, these massive processes that have been shaping our planet for, well, millions of years.
It's humbling, isn't it? It really puts our human timescale into perspective.
It does. Volcanoes remind us that we're just a small part of something much, much bigger. This planet, it's constantly changing, evolving.
In Kilauea, with all its fiery drama and those unanswered questions, it's like this perfect symbol of that dynamic energy.
It's a living, breathing laboratory. There's always something new to learn, something new to discover.
Absolutely. It's a source of wonder for anyone who takes the time to really look at it.
Well said. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into Kilauea's latest eruption, I gotta say, I'm feeling a mix of, well, humility and excitement. Humility because, wow, nature is powerful, but also excitement because there's still so much to learn.
That's a great way to put it. I hope our listeners feel that too, that sense of wonder. Because understanding volcanoes, it's not just about the science. It's about appreciating the incredible diversity of our planet, all those forces that have shaped it over millions of years.
Beautifully said. And for everyone out there who wants to keep exploring this amazing world, don't forget to check out the show notes. We've got those incredible NASA images, the latest updates from the USGS. Trust me, it's worth checking out. Until next time, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.